do you mind if I ask you what do you mean by prayer? I think I'm a prayer expert.
Well, being single over the years, I've been through some things in my life that I didn't know what else to do but pray.
Uh-huh. So the question is, so I'm a modeler. Okay. A modeler means I just want to say, okay, so pray. So how do we do this? How do you pray? What do you pray? You're like, what does that mean? God, take this away from me? What? What does that mean, prayer?
I ask Him to help me with what is right for me,
Okay, good.
and my prayers have been answered.
Okay, good. So here's the test. The test is, and I believe directing attention, and I believe that God is working through all of us. But so the test that I always test, and I work with a lot of Christians, and of course I have a lot of Christians say, well, I asked God to take it from me. I said, and He did. I said, well, I want to check and make sure you're not lying. Okay, because, I mean, it's the truth. I said, okay, God took it away from you. Well, how do you know? All right, so let's go back to the memory, and we step back into the memory. Did God take it from you? Now, if they go back and it's still there, guess what? Who still has it? They do. And so the deal is understanding what is God wanting us to do. You know, I was talking to a lady in Ireland just this week, and actually her sister-in-law, I worked with her, and they were talking. They said, well, haven't you noticed when you started tapping, you started praying less? And they go, you know, I have noticed I hadn't been praying. I have been praying less. And another person said, well, you know, Robert, you know, I've been tapping, and you know, I'm not needing God that much. I'm not praying to God. I said, okay, so obviously we have a distorted idea about what God is and the purpose behind God. Because most people think the way you connect with God is if you're really hurt and upset, and that's the only time you need God. All right? What is the mission? If I'm using the Jesus model, what is the mission behind Christ? He said, I have come to give you life and life more abundantly. That means your life should improve. Isn't that true? Wouldn't you think that's the whole purpose? All right. Now you also have to understand the teachings of Jesus was practical application. That means He says, do this. And the reason why you do this is because it keeps you in alignment with God, not to win favors, because this is what you do. This is following the light. That means following in the path. So one of the things He said, and this is very profound, and I use this oftentimes, He said, He uses parables and understandings. He says, the eyes are to the lamp to the body. The eyes are the lamp to the body. If your eyes are light, your body's light. If your eyes are dark, your body's dark, and how great the darkness is. Now, what does that mean? I mean, logically, He says the eyes is the lamp to the body. If you think of good things, positive things, internally or externally, it makes you feel good. Isn't that right? That makes logical sense to me, okay? So if you think of bad things, see bad things, recall bad things, watch bad things, you feel bad. And he says something in the same parable, and how great that darkness is. All right, now this is practical understanding. This is just logical 101 understanding. So what is he saying? What you think affects your body. You think good things, imagine things, looking at good things, you're going to feel good. You look at bad things, you imagine bad things, you watch bad things, you're going to feel bad, and how great that bad could be. Now in Luke it says something, same basic concept, but he says, see to it that the light within you is not darkness. Now there's a meaning behind this. The light within you is not darkness. So I believe what he's saying, that some people think it's good to have bad things inside you. Now he's given us a warning. See to it that the light within you is not darkness, because if you think it is good to have all the crappy memories handy and all the bad experiences handy, what does that do to your body and your life? It wears you down. Now this is logical. This is rational. It makes sense. And he also said something like this: a good man will go in his mind or heart and pull out a good treasure and act and feel good. A bad man will go in his heart, pull out a bad treasure, act and feel bad. Now, most people will see it as two people, but in reality, it's one and the same person. Do we not have good and bad memories within us? Do we not pull, and some of those show up, the bad and good? Right. And then he also says something like this. He says, if your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out. Now, he knows if you pull eyeballs out, you still have your thinker. That means you can still imagine bad things. You know that, don't you? So obviously, he's talking about these memories and what you're looking at and what you're using to torment you. So this is application. So he's talking about taking ownership of your own mind. Now I see, because of course, biblical study was my major, and I've tried everything. I'm trying to understand what's going on. Saved 1,000,000 times, went back to the same crud. And I said, okay, I'm missing something here. I want the real deal. I don't want none of this woo-woo, believe, and yet you fall back into the pile of crud. And I said, what is the real deal? And I began to look at what he was saying. All right, so if we start applying the truth. Now in the Bible, you and I both know that in our culture, what is the leading cause of stress? Well, I already gave you the answer. Me, that's easy. All right, so we all know that the leading cause of most of our problems, health problems, relationship problems, financial problems, everything is really breaks down to stress and emotions. And that's true. Logically, scientifically, we know that. But if you look in that book, that word is not even listed in the concordance at all. It isn't. It's not there. So obviously, he is talking about the same basic thing when he talks about sin. He's talking about the same basic thing when he talks about lust of the flesh. He's talking about the same thing, the expressions of the body. Now guys, when we're talking about stress and emotions, where do you feel it at? In your body. Now this is what we're addressing. Now, by the way, guys, if some of you may not be aware of this, but the word S-I-N was never spoken from the lips of Jesus Christ. Do you know that? He never used these words, ever. He used a phrase, and it was translated about 1600s by King James, and they've translated this thing that Jesus said, and it's the same phrase basically as you're missing the mark. Now, he said basically you're missing your potential, you're missing what you're designed to do. And the translator says, well, Jesus is using this phrase, and it's kind of like the archers over here. They're aiming at a target, and they miss the mark. So they used this phrase that Jesus used into a single word, S-I-N. And guys, if you translate some of this stuff, now by the way, they did not translate from the original Aramaic which Jesus spoke. They didn't translate the King James from the original Aramaic, nor the Greek, but the Latin version of the Bible. Now guys, do you know that if you start translating, if you start passing a story all the way around, by the time it gets to the end of the street, it's totally different. Even if you translate it correctly, 100%, in which was said from the mouth of Jesus, you still miss it because the language of Jesus was Aramaic, which is full of metaphors. A metaphor or idioms is like I said, hey, Pam, you look really hot. Now they're going to read this 100 years from now, and it says, Pam, you're really hot. Did she have temperature? I mean, that's how they're going to translate it. It said, Pam's really hot. She must have temperature. Or she could be on fire. And that's how the language, the Aramaic language was. So I want the real deal, okay? And I also want something that is absolutely 100% universal, absolute truth. That means I can take this truth and I can go anywhere with it. That means I can go to India and I say, if you think, whatever you think affects how you feel. If you have positive thoughts in your mind, you see good things in your mind, your body will respond in a positive way. If you look at bad, that's a universal truth, wouldn't it be? Now, if you take universal truth and you start applying it, all of a sudden your life starts to change. So here it is, they're using this process to release their stress and emotions, and all of a sudden they're not crying and begging God. And you know why? Because they're walking in and with God. Because you have to understand, if sin, that word, the meaning of it is that means you're missing the mark, is that you're not happy, you're not joyful, but you're angry, sad, hurt, rejected, abandoned, betrayed, hopeless, helpless, abandoned. Now, if you're feeling all these emotions, you're not in the presence of God, are you? But if you release these stress and emotions and the hurts, and you're walking in Galatians 5:23, love, joy, peace, kindness, temperance, and most of all, self-control. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but a sound mind. Now, guys, has this seminar been strictly about your mind? Yes. It's been strictly about addressing your stress and emotions. Because emotional intelligence, healthy emotional people, are already more spiritually enlightened than those who are emotionally inept. And does that make sense logically? So that's what we're talking about. So the reason why they're not begging God and crying because they're miserable, because they're walking in the steps of God. They're walking in what He talked about. Now, although, let's say some of you, all of you, none of you, believe that there is such thing as Jesus. Or doesn't believe that in spirituality whatsoever. There is no spiritual, there is no God. Does it make good sense? Absolutely. Now, I'm just using the model. But I do believe this. If you do what works, whatever your belief is will get better unless you like the pain. And it's going to ruin all your pain if you tap, if you aim at your hurt. Does that make sense? So what we want to do, what is really prayer? Prayer is just your everyday thoughts. What you think is a prayer. It's an affirmation, which we did cover that. I mean, last week. Was it last week we covered affirmations? No, 2 weeks ago. By the way, I've started that DVD. I'm going to do that DVD by itself. Now, here's the thing. I try to speak in a way that's universal. Because there are Baptists, there's Methodists, there's Catholic. I hear you say Catholic in such a special way. Catholic, there's all kinds. And you know what? Each group, my group, I don't belong to a group, but if I had a group, my group would think they're the right way. Yours is the right way. But I will tell you this, if you're throwing rocks and you're being mean to other people, that's not good. Do you realize that? So just make peace, be at peace, and let go of any judgment, condemnation, because in the same manner you judge, you're not only the judgment starts with you, but you start spreading that old nasty message around, and that ministry is not a good one. That is not what the Maker intended for us to do. Anyway, I don't know why I got on with that, yeah. Does that kind of make sense logically? Because a lot of people, they look at this tapping and say, well, that sounds like voodoo to me. You know, that's I don't think God's in there. He don't want you to take control of your life. He wants you to come in church. You know, they don't want you to be in control. But you have to understand, this is the true, this is the real deal. And I think I mentioned to you before, you know, at the end of the Gospels, you know, Jesus, he gave 4 basic commandments. At each one of them, he said, first one, he said, go to the world. It goes everywhere. Go to the world. 1. 2, preach the gospel, which basically means teach the truth. That's what it says. Teach the truth. And it was translated, they combined this word, called it gospel. Teach the truth, make students, pupils, disciples. That means people who want to learn. That's what he said. Go and teach people so that they can learn and be a follower of truth. Now, guys, I am after truth 100%, okay? Teach truth, make students, and the last part is touch the afflicted. Lay hands on the sick. Now, guys, I'm a student. I went in there and I was looking for how do you do it. I looked every book. I didn't figure out how to lay hands on the sick. We don't know how he did it. We can't say he didn't do this. We cannot say he didn't. We can't say he did. But I bet he had something similar. We don't know. I do know this, it works. And I don't know if you've seen some of the Michelangelo's paintings. You see some of the pictures like this, you know? maybe that what's that code, the Da Vinci Code, they missed that part. They're trying to snub out the tapping. Who knows, you know? But it
Maybe this is the Holy Grail.
that could be the Holy Grail. Who knows? The secret. It is the secret. Yes, definitely. So anyway, that's just for some people who want to try to understand it. But I think there's a lot of logic here. You know, and he talks about forgiveness. He talks about judgment. He talks about one of the most powerful things. He says, resist not evil. Don't give bad things effort. Don't give it interest. Don't run from it. Make peace with it. Make peace with your enemy. Guys, haven't I told you when you find a problem, isn't that the gift? That's your spiritual gift to heal you. If you run, you say, I'm not receiving the gift today. I choose to keep this crap inside me. And you get to experience it over and over again. But if you receive this gift and you start releasing your reaction, not only do you emotionally evolve, but you spiritually evolve if you're a spiritually minded person. And if you're just a wise person, this is just smart. Let it go. So that's the whole key, is we want to heal ourselves, take full ownership, and anytime you're angry and upset, feel it, tap it, and keep doing it until it's gone. That's the key. Make sense? All right, that's very, very powerful. And of course, I talked about, the spiritual evolution, and of course we want true divine love or perfect love or mature love or whatever you want to call this. And the only way that you start to evolve is you understand that it does start with your mind and your body. It is the power within you. And of course, changing your reaction, changing and releasing the pain, releasing the hurts. And as you start doing this, you start to evolve. And then, of course, making peace within yourself, within the memories that you hold, within the reactions inside you, every character of yourself, every age of yourself, every person, everything inside you, make peace with that stuff. And then, of course, become non-judgmental and be forgiving. See, I had to go back and try to remember what I wrote there because you can't read that. That's Robert Smith code. And as you do this, you naturally start to evolve. That's what you want. Spiritual, emotional, intellectual evolution, healing. By the way, the gift is yours. And of course, we're talking about right here. What goes on inside you? The pictures in your mind. I mean, when I read, Matthew didn't pull those books out, but when I read Mind Works is that book you bought last week. It's a very good book. When I read this book, and after I read it, I went back and started reading the New Testament again, and all of a sudden, it opened up. I realized that's what he talked about, was the mind. Internal process. Thinking. Jesus' teaching was practical application. When you start to see that, you say, it's emotional intelligence. That's what he's talking about. And that's how you begin to heal. So everything inside you, and of course most people live right here. God save me. God save me. And God is saying, hey, you know what? You came to this class. He's showing you what's really happening. And he says, God will not be mocked. What you sow, what you plant, what you have right in here, who reaps? Absolutely you. So that means he's still putting it right back on you. And we have to say, okay, I'm going to clean my stuff. Make peace. And as you start making peace, all of a sudden you begin to take power away from everything outside you. And then you start walking in empowering life. Because I'm telling you that this way of thinking and living is a narrow way to live. It's a narrow life. Not many people do it. Because it's easy to go back here and to react and to blame, to judge, to condemn, to feel guilty, to feel hurt. And many, many go this way. It's not easy here taking ownership. And that's why we want to make it as simple as we possibly can. Apply the principles and start to transform.